Kenny McCormick is the most noble character in all of television history, and I'm going to tell you why. Now, Kenny was born with this terrible, terrible tragedy. And that tragedy is that he's poor. Well, that and the fact that he gets murdered continuously, either murdered, things falling on him, crushing him to death, burned alive, decapitated. I'm sure he's had a couple drug overdoses on accident, things like that. Kenny's died a bunch of weird, wacky, wild ways. Sadly, on top of this, his parents are very big drug addicts, so all of this just makes Kenny's life really hard. So Kenny will do pretty much anything for money, right? We've seen this in some of the episodes, especially the Fat Camp episode, where you see Crazy Kenny come out, and Crazy Kenny's eating manatee spleens, and he's like, he throws up the manatee spleen, and then eats up the throw up with the manatee spleen for like $10, and he's just doing crazy stuff. He blows Howard Stern, which was kind of a wild thing for them to have put in the episode. But yes, he canonically blows Howard Stern.
Oh. Now, some people think that all you guys do is perform sick and disgusting acts for shock value and money, which makes you whores. But I'd like to prove them wrong. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to offer each of you $50,000 to give me oral sex right now. Ooh, the kid says he'll do it for $10.
Damn it, I'm out. Me too. I guess he is the biggest whore.
And, but the interesting thing about watching this episode that I don't think many people notice, and that maybe wasn't even intentional from the writers, but I thought it was interesting, is that you don't see Kenny spending the money that he used, which is interesting to me, because it's like, where is the money going if Kenny's not spending it? And so in my own headcanon, I kind of liked to think that he was giving the money to Karen and buying Karen little toys and things with it. And we've seen this in other episodes with Kenny, like the City Walk episode, if you remember that. Kenny's working all day. It's just wild shift with the child labor force, and he just makes enough money to buy one doll, and he puts all his money into that, and he buys a doll for Karen. It's like the sweetest moment ever.
What are you doing, Kenny? Wow. This is mine? Hi.
Kenny dying and coming back over and over and over was set in place by the Dark Lord Cthulhu. And he, I'm not sure if he cursed Kenny or if it was like a blessing, because Cthulhu might really mess with Kenny. Kenny might be like Cthulhu's son or something. We don't really know. All we know is Cthulhu has something to do with why he comes back. And this leaves Kenny not quite dead and not quite alive ever. Just in pretty much the worst state you could think. Kenny essentially makes time move slower. By constantly deleting bits of information pertaining to his death, he essentially slows the kids and the entire town of South Park's time to a slow trickle. And this allows 27 years to pass in our time, but only a couple in theirs. And I believe the only people who actually have memory of this are Stuart and Carol McCormick, along with Kenny. But the big problem about Stuart and Carol McCormick is that they're always either high or they're drunk. So they don't really remember much of anything. This reminds me of the tale of Sisyphus, who was a king way back in the Greek days, and he was kind of a sneaky dude. And he caught Zeus doing some stuff Zeus shouldn't have been doing. And then Zeus was kind of pissed about it. So Zeus was like, hey, I'm going to capture you now. And when he tried to capture him the first time, he sent him to death's lair. Sisyphus got out. Then he captured him again. He was like, hey, I'm going to hit up Persephone. Hey, Persephone, could you bring me back just for the winter? Come on. Like, let me out of hell just for the winter, please, Persephone. And then she let him out, and she was like, just for the winter, right? And then he said, of course. And then he just stayed out forever anyways. And then after that, he ended up actually getting caught by Zeus, in which Zeus forced him to push a boulder up a hill eternally, only for the boulder to fall down on him every time he pushed it up the hill. So he would never get that sweet release. And he'd just constantly push a boulder up a hill. That became his whole life, just boulder hill. There was nothing else for him to look at but the dirt underneath him and the boulder in his hands. That's all he could ever do now, and it was going to last forever. It was eternal. But the thing about Sisyphus that was such a cool story is in so many interpretations of him, Sisyphus is seen smiling despite his terrible burden, which is to eternally push a boulder up a hill. That's a crappy burden. But in so many of his interpretations, he is seen almost wearing his burden as a badge of honor. And this is how I like to think of Kenny. But Kenny to a way higher degree. Because, like, if you asked me, would you rather push a boulder up a hill or, like, get murdered really often, I would probably take the boulder, to be honest. The reason I explain this is because I believe this is the thing that makes true nobility. Nobility isn't when you do something because you know you'll get rewarded for doing it. Intentions can always mask true nobility, because sometimes your intentions can be bad with something, but you can feign it like you're doing it for a good reason. And if your intentions are to get something good out of it, then it kind of muddies it. But the thing about a character like Sisyphus and the thing about a character like Kenny is they have no good intentions. Because why would they? Nothing good's going to happen. If you're Kenny and you're really still optimistic, it's like, wake up, stupid head. There's nothing to be optimistic about. It's not getting better.
I knew there'd be no point in telling you guys.
All right, dude, let's just say you're not crazy and it's true. What's the big deal? I mean, I think it'd be pretty cool not to be able to die.
Pretty cool? Do you know what it feels like to be stabbed? To be shot? Decapitated? Torn apart? Burned? Run over?
Kenny, calm down.
It's not pretty cool, Kyle. It hurts. And it won't go away, and nobody will believe me. Remember this time. Try and remember.
Oh my god! Holy dude! Dude! Is he? Oh, Jesus! Kenny! No!
But seeing him with that smile, it just makes you feel something. He's the only kid in the whole show with an actual reason to be a nihilistic little kid. Like, Kenny should be a goth kid, but the worst he became is Batman. And Batman's awesome. Like, so he had an upgrade. Kenny just cares about people despite all of the pain and suffering that he's been through in his life. He still has a heart that beats twice as strong than anyone else's. Even Butters says this, and as we all know, Butters is another sweet kid. He's a bundle of hope. Kenny would do anything for his friends. He's truly the most loyal peep, with him sacrificing his life on multiple occasions. He's truly the Jesus of the South Park universe, with him constantly being sacrificed so that those around him can be spared. Kenny will do anything for money too, as you'll see a lot in the show. Not because he wants to spend the money on things he can buy for himself or anything like that, but for his little sister, which is just the sweetest thing anyone can possibly do. It's insane to think, and it's so beautiful of a concept to think that there's a little 7-year-old boy or a 9-year-old boy in South Park, Colorado somewhere who's died hundreds and hundreds of times, but still wakes up every morning just trying to make someone's life better. Who's still willing to sacrifice himself, to sacrifice his very soul even to Satan, willing to damn his soul to hell just for his friends. Who's died more times than anyone can imagine, but yet somehow manages to be kinder than anyone can imagine. Kinder than the average person, definitely. And who somehow manages to thrive in a situation where he's constantly bullied for being poor, and where life just beats him down and beats him down and beats him down, and he can never manage to get that boulder up the hill. He still tries. And not many characters do. It's just the sad truth. Kenny's parents don't. That's for sure. And when you have a character like Kenny, it just warms your heart, because you get this character who has no practical reason to actually try. For all intents and purposes, Kenny should just give up. His life it really is meaningless. It's not going anywhere. It's not going to get better. It's not going to change. He's going to keep dying and dying and dying. There's nothing else. But Kenny, even while looking at an eternity of pain, keeps a smile on his face. And for me, at least, that's as good enough a reason to keep one on mine. So, Kenny's sitting in this space, this limbo, right between life or death, heaven or hell, freedom and prison. And the best we can do is try and be there for him, so that Kenny knows he's not alone. And at the very least, we'll give him a smile.
Oh, it's you.
At the edge of a universe humming a
I was wondering when you'd appear. You always come when I'm sad.
You are going to be okay, Kieran. You have to keep believing that. Ow! That fucking hurts!
A siren sounds like the goddess who
Banish me,
promises
but I'm back!
endless
What does that make me?
apologies of paradise.
You bastard!
And only she can make it right. So
Sometimes
things are
people
different.
do stupid things. Sometimes they don't realize what should have come first. Until it's too late. Then do it!
But I'm on
Pull the trigger, hindsight. You are not alone. No matter where you go, no matter what you do, I will always be here. Do you understand?
We'll
I'll
go
try, Guardian Angel.
together
Don't try, Kieran.
in
Do.
flight.